Hello, everybody. We're back. We are back. We are here with Debbie Antonelli. This is a brand new podcast. It's Hoopin with Christy and Debbie. I'm Christy Winters-Scott right here on the Her Hoop Stats podcast network. Debbie Antonelli, my friend. There is a lot to discuss on the women's basketball scene. So great to see you, as always, my friend.
Christy, sending out lots of love to you. You're the main reason why I wanted to do this is because we get to hang out a little bit together. So I'm excited about being with you for what will be our weekly podcast.
Yes, weekly podcast talking about hoops. And listen, let's just get things started right where everything is going on. Okay, obviously, Caitlin Clark, the number one overall pick in the WNBA draft. There have been so many different angles of discussion about how she has started out in the WNBA. What's your take so far, just on tactically speaking with Caitlin? But we'll get into the other things. But just what have you seen from her evolution from collegiate player to pro?
Well, let me preface it with this. First of all, I do call the Fever TV package. So we're going to have about 24 games in that package, and I've had 6 of her 11 so far. So I'm excited about reporting. I think she's doing extremely well. She was named Rookie of the Month, the first Rookie of the Month. She's averaging 16 points, 6.5 assists. I think she's managed everything so well for the Fever. It's remarkable to me how a 22-year-old has been able to manage all that she's been able to manage. On the floor, though, Christy, we knew the pace and the speed of the game was going to be an issue. The physicality would be an issue. It's an adjustment for everyone that comes to the league. This is the best 144 in the world.
Yes.
So it takes some time, and I think she's made adjustments quickly. I think her teammates have as well. Just tactically speaking, nobody has been blitzed more than she has on ball screen coverage. I think, she's getting better at managing and handling all that. And her post players are adjusting as well. Aaliyah Boston is more of a short roll. She can catch and make plays in the middle third. I think there's a lot of things that Indiana has done to adjust. However, they haven't had a lot of practice time and unprecedented hardest schedule in the second hardest, I should say, because only one other time anybody has played 11 games in 20 days. It's an incredible condensed stretch for them.
Right. And then with the physical play, let's just clear this up right now, because like you said, this is the most elite professional league in the world. Okay. I played overseas. I understand how physical the game was when I went over there, and I had 42, Deb, in a game with no free throws. So let's just take it from there in terms of relatability. I get it. You're not going to get calls. It's going to be physical, and you're just going to have to plug on. But in terms of the physical style of the WNBA, that's not new, right?
No, the product is the narrative. How many times have you heard me say that? I've been saying it for decades.
Yes.
Our game has always been good. It's so skilled. It's elite level athleticism, the best of the best. And when you insert yourself into that, you've got to rise your level. And I think her level is rising, and it takes some time. And the adjustment has just come so fast and furious. One of the things about the physicality is, we have freedom of movement in the women's college game. I'm still looking for those words in the rule book. I think they're there somewhere. I just haven't been able to find them yet. But off the ball, well, first of all, face guarding is one thing, right? We haven't seen anybody get face guarded like Caitlin has been face guarded on the ball, off the ball, in every scenario. And as I said, she's been blitzed more than anyone else. So there does require an adjustment to the pace and the speed at which all that comes, and the size and the length and the physicality of it. And then we could just talk about physicality for a minute, because to me, you played in a post, I played on a perimeter.
Right.
Where the physical aspects of the game occur are in these instances, right? Post play.
Yep.
Ball screening action. There's at the point of contact, at the point of screen, there's a lot of contact. But then stuff off the ball, like we have a defensive 3-second rule in our league so that we can avoid some of that camping out and crowding and all that stuff that happens. Right. So when you start talking about physicality, I am looking for freedom of movement, because I think jumping to the ball is a defensive skill that you're supposed to have. You're not supposed to grab, clutch, and chuck. Okay. And it's not just Caitlin, it's the whole league.
Yes.
I like offense. I've been preaching offense. I want players to have the ability to cut and move and not get tossed. And I think, and I say tossed, meaning like bump, chuck. You're not supposed to bump them off their line unless you're in that spot in a legal guarding position first. So that's an issue for the whole league. I'd like to see all of it cleaned up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think, with what Christy Sides, the head coach there with the Indiana Fever, she has turned in a lot of plays because of things like that. Do you see the rules being changed or being more finely combed through when it comes to physical play off the ball?
Well, let me say this about New York, because I had Indiana at New York right after the whole Chicago incident with Kennedy Carter. And I want to compliment New York for how hard they play, how tough they play. This was the third time Indiana had played them. And Benijah Laney-Hamilton is one of the best perimeter defenders. But I just see her doing her job. And I don't see her doing anything exceptional or out of the ordinary except for guarding Caitlin really hard. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's part of the adjustment period. So I just want to mention the professionalism that I thought New York played with coming off of that incident where it's such a hot topic, right?
Yes.
So I like offense. I want to see offense. I want to see players be able to come off a pin down and be able to score. I want to see them come off of combination actions, staggers. And, I love all that. I think that's where the pure genius of our game is because that's when Jewel Lloyd is on fire. Like, it is a thing of beauty. And I saw her have a big game in Seattle. So I guess I'm not going Pollyanna about it. I realize that it's physical. And let me say this to you too, because, in the women's college game, right? If you're in the post and you got a legal guarding position, and the offensive player goes bang, right? And then there's the bang again, the second time, we know, because we have boys, that usually the second time, if you dislodge the defense, they're going to call an offensive foul. But trying to hold that contact off is where the physicality comes. Boxing out, physicality, around the rim. I just want to clean it up away from the basket.
Exactly. No, that's that big body play, getting to the chest. You have three boys. I have two of my three are boys. So, but Bree plays, she big bodies in there too. So, but that second point of contact in there for sure. But I just think you were talking about hot topics, right? And you mentioned Kennedy Carter, and what happened in that game was off the ball, right? And they upgraded it to a flagrant one the very next morning after the game, but real time, it was just deemed a personal foul. So when they upgraded it the next day, there was a double down on, I did it. And then for Caitlin Clark, it was like, it's not a basketball play. So what is your take on that specific incident? Obviously, it was upgraded to a flagrant one the next day. But what's your take on what transpired in that moment in that game?
Let's just stick to the very moment that it happened, right? What are the officials doing? I mean, if you're not going to review that, what are you going to look at? And that official that happened right in front of them, you've got to take care of it. Maybe it's a blessing that it didn't get taken care of because we've had all this chatter from everyone that covers sport and outside of sport, which is, quite frankly, some of the things that Caitlin and Angel have brought to our game as things outside. And the players have always been working on their brands. Asia Wilson's an author. I mean, I could go on and on, right? I thought that if they had handled it in the moment, it might not have been as big a deal as it turned into. But maybe because they didn't handle it in the moment, that it has become a big deal and a point of conversation. So we could vet through all this. Right. I think overall, it's a positive net gain for the league to have any discussion on all the platforms that we've had discussions about our game, because ultimately it piques people's interest. Whether you did or didn't like what happened, nobody likes what happened. Okay. It was not a basketball play, but it has stimulated some interest. And I'm keep in mind, like treetop, we are in a media rights window. The more people that tune in and watch, the better it's going to be for the players. revenue share, paychecks, all of it, sponsorship, endorsement, all of it. So let's keep making sure we keep the prize in mind, the main thing here.
Absolutely. And that's what it is, right? Charter flights and all of it, right? And you understand that, there are players who have come into this league. Like, let's look at Alicia Clark. I mean, she was a 25-year-old rookie, came into the WNBA, and she said on an interview that I saw that Delisha Milton-Jones gave her the blues as a rookie, right? We saw what happened with Candace Parker, even though she was named Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same season. No one's ever done that. But she was getting some physical play coming at her. So this is not something that's brand new. This is not something that you haven't had to work yourself through. So my quote is, you got to go through it to get to it, okay? And it's going to be physical, and you have to stay uncomfortable with it. Does it make it right? No, but it is what it is in terms of what you have to do to sustain your level of excellence and your skill set. So if you were Caitlin Clark, like, just put yourself in her shoes. Mm-hmm. If you were her and you're hearing narratives from people who haven't spoken with anyone in the WNBA talking about the pettiness of players coming at rookies in an extracurricular activity way, what would you say or do, or how would you handle it if you were Caitlin Clark?
Well, first of all, let me say this, Christy. We've been around her a lot in the college season. Not one time has the mic been in front of her face that she didn't say the right thing. I can't remember any time where she messed up, made a mistake, didn't say the truth, didn't speak her mind. It was always team first, coaching staff second, growth of the game third. She hit everyone every time at Iowa. I see her doing the same thing here. Exactly. I don't see anything different there. Now, on the court, she does know she needs to put some muscle on. Her upper body's got to get stronger. She probably needs 10 pounds. She's eating like crazy right now to try to keep her stamina and her strength. She's just eating like fuel, just eat. Yeah. And guys do that. You just got to put on, you just got to keep eating because you're burning it off so quickly. She's not, she's 6 foot and 150, $150. That's not, you're going against women that have been lifting and pounding I think at the very beginning of the season, there were some players that said a few things because they probably were not anticipating what was going to happen. How could we forecast forward how much attention the league was going to garner by not just Caitlin, but she is the biggest disruptor and the main one, but the rest of the rookies, okay? Because you can't just say one. Certainly, Angel brings a demographic. Cameron brings. Rakia Jackson, quite honestly, to me, is Ryan Howard, 2.0. Like,
thank you. Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
So if you keep the main thing.
Yes.
Which is growing the league financially for the players and growing attendance so that everyone enjoys a great product.
Right.
Because not everyone buys a ticket is thinking, oh, I'm helping the salaries of those players. You don't buy a ticket like going to the game like that. You buy a ticket because you want to go and enjoy the game, right? You want to have some fun. You want to see. And every arena is awesome in the WNBA. Like that mascot in New York, Ellie, I can't take my eyes off her.
So
in break, she's amazing. So I think it's all part of the entertainment thing. But if you keep the main thing, Kathy Engelbert has a bigger brain around the economics of the league than anybody. You can't run Deloitte, top 4 accounting firm, and not have the economic forecast forward is why we're having so many things happen for the players to have these discussions, the charter flights, like you mentioned, and the potential revenue share going up a few percentages. And it's all good. Like, it's all going to be good. The best thing for me, though, is the product is so good. Like, I'm pinching myself thinking that I'm going to call all these WNBA games in all these arenas all around the country and having so much fun, enjoying watching these women just flat out ball because there's no weak link.
Yeah. Same exact thing for me. I absolutely love it. And you know this too, because you run camps and you reach back at the grassroots level and you see these little kids, these little girls and boys, right? Running up to these WNBA players in tears and just having their great night, their great time, and these defining moments for them. Like when you hear Caitlin Clark running up to Maya Moore in that way, and Lindsay Whalen when she was 10, 11 years old, and now little kids are coming running up to her in that way. That's what it takes to continue to grow the game. So I love it too, just to be able to have a front row seat right there, calling the games with the passion. And, I do the Mystics games. So this week we have Chicago and Indiana coming in. They had to take it out of the entertainment and sports arena, which holds less than 5,000, and put it at the Capital One Arena so that they could get the customers' demand to be in the building. So for me, I'm at a high, right, when it comes to the game. Mm-hmm. But I also know that we have been around a long time, but we're gatekeepers of that, right? So as the game continues to grow exponentially the way that it has, like we have to make sure that the narrative is a growth narrative, right? We're not crabs in a barrel out here. We're not knocking each other down. There's no pettiness here. These are competitive, elite level athletes who are doing what they love at a high level. So I just want to clear that narrative. We're not knocking people down. You can be competitive and passionate and purposeful and go and attack the day and compete and do that in a manner that continues to grow the game. So let's make sure we're doing that part, right?
Yeah, 100%. No, I think, it's okay to knock somebody down and pick them back up in the context of competition. All right. It's not okay to knock them down in a non-basketball play. We all agree to that. I don't think anybody has condoned, the behavior that we saw in that one instance, but that doesn't blanket the league. And if you've been around the league, or if you just give it a chance, if you haven't been in an arena, go and watch. It's so fun. And all these arenas, like, to me, there's so much to do around the arena before and after the game too. That's what makes the whole experience fun as well. And yeah, there are a lot of little girls and boys wearing number 22 in Indiana Fever, and adults. Yes. The buzz in the city of Indianapolis is just amazing.
Oh, I bet. Well, you alluded to this a moment ago, just with the rookies in this class, and what a jump they've taken. I mean, we saw the LA Sparks, like 4 of them were on the Jennifer Hudson show. And it was just such a beautiful conversation with Jennifer Hudson. So Jay Hud, shout out to you for giving that platform. She was at the Minnesota Lynx game as well to give support to the squad. So I just think that that's what it takes to get the players in front of mainstream public. I think it's such a big piece to the advancement and continued growth.
I do too. And like, nobody wants to hear us sit here and talk about pushing that tire up a hill backwards in the snow back in our day, right? Or drive people that before us drove the vans. But the reason why we share those stories is so that you have some gratitude and you have appreciation for those shoulders that you stand on, and those that have helped advance our game and fought for things that you and I don't even realize that we didn't have. And now it goes to the next level. And, I say that for people that are working in the media, that are doing our jobs. There's a lot of young ones coming up, don't have the same amount of experience, haven't been around the game as long. Quite frankly, there's only a few that have been around the game as long as I have. That's how old I am, that do this job anyway. And I mean, I feel a responsibility to make sure I continue to share and push and help and make sure that we are, all voices are welcome and all opinions are welcome. Doesn't mean anybody's right or wrong. It's just, we got to make sure we keep advancing the product. That's the most important thing. The players and the product.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the players coming behind them too, right? So they see what it takes to do that in a positive way. And that doesn't mean be, like you said, Pollyanna and all the way through and, like whining about, no, we're here to say, okay, this is what is happening, but enable a growth mindset in how we look and narrate this game for the next generation. That has to be paramount for us, right? That's why I said we're gatekeepers in that way. And yes, the young media people who are doing a fantastic job of keeping that main thing the main thing as well. I think that's great. But I think, like you said, just to have that foundation of gratitude, number one, and people like C. Vivian Stringer and Pat Summit and Kay Yao and everybody.
I even go this way, Christy. I mean, like, I'm grateful that someone like Caitlin Clark or Alyssa Thomas or Asia Wilson worked tirelessly on their craft so they could bring it to entertain us. Okay?
Yeah.
So when I say I'm grateful that Caitlin Clark has spent as much time as she spent working on her game, I mean it. How many games have you called in your lifetime where they could hear you at the free throw line? Okay? That is true. And yes, and so we're all come together at this great culmination of, and we all come from it from different places, and it's great. It's an incredible opportunity to celebrate our game at the highest level, being played by the top 144 in the world. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that all those women work that hard on their craft so that it is competitive, and it is hard to get a roster spot, and it is tough to win. Right. And, Caitlin is being face guarded, just to bring it back full circle.
Yeah.
Because you can face guard her. Indiana needs somebody else to step up, and that's coming. It takes time. They're young. They're the youngest team in the league, playing the toughest schedule at the beginning, and with a lot of eyes on them.
Yes.
It's going to improve.
Absolutely. And just with, this game is such a beautiful thing, but we're getting the big plays and the big moments kind of lost in this narrative of all the pettiness and all this other stuff that they're trying to paint this league to be. And it's not that. So when you see Arike Ogunbowale go for 40, right, let's talk and let's keep that. Hey, talk about that with the same strength in your voice as you're talking about all this other stuff. And let's make sure we're not losing the beauty of what this game is and continues to be.
I'm with you on that. That's why I want freedom of movement, because that's where the beauty comes.
That's right. That's right.
Beautiful jump shot after you've worked off of combinations to get open, and they've schemed hard to try to stop you. And there's Arike, like you said, dropping 40. I mean, that's how good she is.
Oh, she's such a killer, man. I love watching her play. She's just vicious.
It's interesting, Christy, is I read this recently that only in the 27 years of having MVPs in the league, only 3 times there have been guards. I thought that was pretty interesting, that only 3 times in the history of the league that there's been 27 MVPs and only 3 of them have been guards. That's kind of interesting, right? And here we're talking about, freedom of movement and having great guard play. But I also say this too. Here's a good one for you as a post player, because just the numbers last week, and I haven't updated it, but Jonquel Jones was getting double teamed the most in the low post. And it was only like 9 possessions, which we know means that nobody's playing with their back to the basket, right? So everything is lifted up to the free throw line, middle third, a lot of drags, a lot of stuff happening. And that's where the beauty comes, and the freedom of movement is so important. And I think depending on where the ball screens are set and how that takes some of the physicality away from the game, which I want us to make sure. I'm not saying it's not tough and we should compete and we should, there's going to be crashes, there's going to be post-ups, there's going to be rebounding. I just want to see offense.
And then you look at a player like Diana Taurasi, who's turning 42 next month. So she is the most seasoned. She is the most seasoned vet ever. Like, she's along the lines of an anomaly like LeBron James when it comes to that. I mean, it's just phenomenal that she only has 1 MVP. And much like the late, great Kobe Bryant, 1 MVP in his 20 years. So, I mean, let's not get it twisted. She's a killer. We understand that she has the Mamba mentality and all that. But it's just, wow, like the perimeter game has just changed over the evolution of this game.
I think it's because the perimeter players have adjusted to playing with post players that can play away from the bucket, can set screens, can set drags, that run the floor. I mean, I'm all about the guards because they can shoot it and score it. But, man, when you've got somebody like Asia Wilson who can play at the high level that she can, or Candace Parker, like one of the all-time greats to do it with size, there's just so many great players in our game. I feel like, with you, Christy, I played against Cheryl Miller and I've covered every single one of them since. And it just gives us a good perspective on how great the game has been over the decades.
Oh my gosh. Well, this podcast has been great over this last, 20, 30 minutes.
That was fast.
I know we got to go, man, but I'm so excited to do this weekly podcast with you, my dear, dear friend, Deb. Now, listen, we're going to be right back with you guys every week to break down the WNBA all summer long And Deb, do you have any closing comments as we head into another full week of hoops?
I mean, you know, I love you, Christy. I don't mind telling everybody that. We go way back, right? I remember when you first got started, you know, so I'm excited to be with you every week. And, you know, the thing you and I usually talk about is we usually spend time talking about our kids. So we'll have to get to a segment where we can update everyone on our kids playing college basketball, because my guy's not going to be a pro. Maybe that's one of yours might be.
I don't know. Yes, we'll definitely do a mom segment. Yeah, we definitely have to do that. But for right now, we got to get up out of here. It's time to go home and hooping with Christy and Debbie right here on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network. We will see you next time.